welcome to another edition of That Business Show 2.0. I'm your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. If you're finding us on the air for the first time or a podcast or up on YouTube, keep in mind we release new episodes each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on thatbusinessnetwork.com, where we talk with different entrepreneurs and community and leaders throughout business. And we'd like to hear your story too. Simply visit tbsinterview.com for more information. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get published, and we're talking with Dr. Robert N. Lussier, and he's been the Publish Do Not Perish expert for more than 20 years and has authored over 440 publications, including many bestsellers. Over 1 million people globally have used his publications, and today he is a sought-after keynote speaker and has helped hundreds of institutions and individuals in over 75 countries get published. So, Dr. Robert Lussier, welcome to the program today.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here with you, Jamie, today, and I look forward to our interview.
So 440 plus publications. I know you focus primarily in the academic environment, but still that's a lot of publications. Take me through your career first and just kind of how you got to that level of writing.
Well, actually, I've started I always wanted to be a professor when I was an undergrad, and then I actually had no interest in publishing or consulting. I just wanted to teach. But then I got to the point where teaching just wasn't enough anymore. And also, one of the key things that got me going on to textbook writing was the fact that I was very practical, how-to type of person. And I wanted to have actual exercises and apply the stuff and actually you can use in your personal and professional lives. But at the time, 30 years ago, nobody was really doing that. Everybody was just strictly textbooks with case studies, not really heavy application. So that's what got me interested and started. I started developing my own materials, working with other publishers and authors, and just said, wait a minute, why should I be helping other authors? Why don't I do this myself? So I started actually with textbooks first. I didn't have the doctorate beginning wise. So then I decided, well, I did really want to get the doctorate degree. And once I got that, they teach you research. That's what the doctorate really is a research degree. So I didn't know how to do empirical research. But once I got into that, I really, really enjoyed the empirical research as well. So then that's when I got going from the textbooks, and then I actually got going on the empirical research studies. And just kind of surprising in the sense that sometimes you fear certain things, whatever, and then you find out it's not so bad as you thought. In the sense that when I was in my doctoral program, I was dreading, in a sense, the research methods and statistics classes because I just wasn't strong in math. But when I got into the research method and statistics courses, I found out that statistics, when you use the computer, is really not about math. It's about reading the printout.
Right.
And the bottom line with printouts is always a p-value.
Now,
significant or not. So.
Now we talk about on this program, about entrepreneurs and writing their books to get ahead of the game. We talk about how a book is like an enhanced business card for their business. And I know your publications focus on academia more so, but could it be an opportunity for an entrepreneur to write a book that is a textbook or a book geared towards academia if, say, they're an expert in photography, for instance, or videography, for instance?
Well, there is a definite distinction which is used in colleges is you can have a straight textbook, but there's also more trade books that are used in academia. So for, some of the well-known authors, like you could have actually like, Ken Blanchard with his 1 Minute Manager and his other different books can be used in academia as well. The question is, you got to get into those publishers. Like any business, you got to know where to go to get the sale. So you have to go to the publishers that are focusing on the academic market.
Is it a very competitive market in the field of academia? I know, like I said, with entrepreneurial books, people will write them and they'll self-publish them. And again, they're mostly an enhanced, a business card. But for somebody that really wants to make an impact in their industry and become, an influencer, and a book that is centered around academia, something that somebody would pick up and use in a college or a high school classroom, for instance, how difficult is that for them to enter that space?
It's incredibly difficult. It's so competitive. If you go online and just put in leadership or anything subject, and you'll get a zillion hits. In the academic realm, and just as in the other realm, is they're looking at what's your credentials? What have you done? Why would anybody want to read you? And that's a big factor. And luckily, part of it, entrepreneurship is being kind of at the right place at the right time. If your timing is off, you're too ahead of the curve, you're not going to get the business. If you're too late, you kind of miss the ball. Luckily, when I got started in the textbook writing, they were actually expanding. Publishers were increasing. So they were actually looking for people. So obviously, when I started, I had no reputation. I have a national, international reputation now, but then I didn't. I had no reputation, but they were more willing to take you on because they were looking for authors. But
Now,
today, they've
now,
all condensed, as you know, everybody's gobbling everybody up. So the competition is so much greater and it's so much more difficult today.
Now, today we're in the digital environment. How important is it to have a digital presence, application, or platform to be associated with the textbook? Is it just enough to write the book? I think a lot of people today expect some type of online application to go along with the book. Am I correct?
Yeah, but one of the things, if you're with a major publisher, they take care of all that for you. See, I'm with the larger publishers, the McGraw-Hill, Sage, those types of companies, they actually have all of that. Basically, I just use Word and write the text, and they do the design and the layout. They do all of that for you. One of the things that's surprising, you may not be aware of in academia, but like 10 years ago, everybody said, oh, there won't be any more hardcover textbooks in like 5 years from now. Everybody's going to move to ebooks. Today, we're still selling lots of regular covered books. That means a lot of students still want it. I'm still teaching in my classes. I'd say at least half of my students opt to take the book, the actual hardcover book, rather than an e-copy. So there's still some market out there, but there is obviously a trend now, like you're saying, is what's called interactive books. So what it is, like I have a lot of self-assessments and things with kind of come with an actual correct answer. So what it is they can do it on, if you get the interactive book, you can actually type up your answers and it'll actually self-score it for you and send that right to the instructor. And can put it right in their grade book.
Yeah, I'm of the school that I too thought that textbooks in the classroom would definitely go the way of the dinosaur, especially, with the cost associated with them. I mean, I think every college student is in shock, or their parents, at least whoever's paying the bill, when they first get to college and they realize that every book is $200 to $300.
Luckily, I'm with Sage for a couple of my major books, and they're still under $150 for my books, my management book and my human resource management books. So they're a little bit better than the competition. But as you know, you get into the used book market and that becomes very quick. After the first semester, sales go way down is because of the used book market. And authors only get a royalty on sales of new books, not on any used book. We don't get a penny on that.
Now, today you're a sought-after keynote speaker. Again, Publish, Do Not Perish being your brand. Now, do you cater to primarily people in the university realm to get them to write books and publications? Tell me who you're really reaching out to.
Okay, my key market is academics, and a lot of the ones I send to advertise with, in a sense, are deans of business schools because my background is business, but I can teach publishing tips which apply to every field in academia. But my focus is really academic publishing. So I'm teaching them how do you actually get published in a journal, because that's what they're looking for in academia. Textbooks are not as prestigious as academic journals. So I've been in top tier journals as well, and that's more prestigious to universities. That's really what they're looking for. So I'm really focusing on the academic side and how do you publish. There's a lot of tips and tricks to help you to get that article accepted to that conference or in that journal, and that's what I teach. My book has over 175 publications, so you may want to check out my website at publishdonotperish.com, and then gives you a video of me presenting and talks about my topics and that type of thing, and my video is very good. Also, I did want to put in a quick plug. If anybody sends me an email to publishdonotperish@google.com, I'll send you a free couple of tips related to publishing And again, it's geared more towards academics, more so than to have you self-publish a book.
I'll take a quick break here. Currently talking to Robert Lussier. He is a keynote speaker and has published over 400 different publications, 440 different publications focusing on the academic market. So if you're in the field of academia, definitely want to reach out to him, learn more at publishdonotperish.com, publishdonotperish.com. We'll be back in a moment with more of That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. And welcome back to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. My guest today is Dr. Robert Lussier. He is a keynote speaker and has authored over 440 different publications and is a sought-after keynote speaker, specializing in getting people published in the field of academia. So if you're in that field, learn more at publishdonotperish.com. Dr. Robert Lussier, you're also an entrepreneur. You're out there writing books. You're out there trying to get published yourself. You're trying to get in front of people. Let's talk to you just about the entrepreneurship side of your business. When you wrote that first book, for instance, for anybody who has a product, just getting in front of the right people is a challenge. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs out there when they have a product and they want to get it in front of the right people?
Well, the key is obviously you got to know where to go, and that may take some time. But in academia, it was basically knowing you got to go to the major textbook publishers, because I wanted to write a textbook. And a lot of people don't realize, thinking about it, it's clearly entrepreneurship, because I'm not an employee of any publishing company. It's 100% royalty, and people don't realize. Luckily, being a full-time professor, I didn't have the problem of having to have immediate income. But I actually spent 1,700 hours writing my first book, my first textbook.
Wow.
And I didn't get a penny in that time. And it took 1,700 hours, say it took me like a year, whatever, to write the book. I never got a penny of pay in any way. And then I also, not only that, is you've got to wait at least 6 months for the cycle to actually get out there, and then you get your royalty check. And there's no guarantee at all what you're going to make. It's 100% like an entrepreneurship. You get the royalties, and if your book doesn't sell, it's not going to go. So one of the things you obviously want is the marketing. But as a textbook author, I don't do the primary marketing that textbook publishers do. And if you're with a good textbook publisher, like anybody, if you get your product into a Walmart or something, you're going to have a great audience.
Right.
So it's very important to get somebody who's going to promote your book. So I have 12 different books, but some of them are with better publishers than others. And the ones with the better publishers sell more books. So you want to try to get into, like I said, a Walmart or a place like that. If you can get your product in there, you're going to have the marketing, and marketing is key.
How are the royalties work in the business? Is it all over the board depending on your experience and your sales record, or is it pretty industry specific that this is the royalty that you're going to get and this is the marketing that we're going to do?
Well, typically it does vary, but the bigger publishers generally will pay 15% royalty on the sale to the bookstore or to whoever, Amazon or whoever they sell the book to. You're getting 15% on that. A lot of people don't realize the markup on the book that they're getting is where a lot of the money is really made, but it's 15%. But let me just quickly mention the cost of textbooks, because everybody complains the cost of textbooks have gone up dramatically over the years, and they have. But if you look at textbooks compared to the cost of tuition, it's crazy. I mean, when I was in college, I was paying like $20 for a book. Yeah, only $20 versus say $200 today. But you also got to remember, I was paying maybe $200 for tuition, and now they're paying $2,000 for tuition. So as a percentage, the textbooks have actually gone dramatically down in cost of education, whereas the tuition is going crazy.
What about writing a book? And it seems like, a lot of times what happened to me in college is you'd go to sell it and you couldn't resell it because the the professor was using the new edition of the book. How is, like you from an author's standpoint, the profit on just updating your own book? It seems to me you're just going in there and making some adjustments to update it to current trends and market statistics could be another big profit center. How does that work in the business?
Well, that's the key because, like you said, once you get into the new used book market, after the first semester the book is used, there's not many used books around. So students of the first semester are typically pushed into buying the new one. But after that first actual semester, there's lots of used books out there because there is a lot of potential sales out there. And there's a lot more, person-to-person sales now as opposed to just going to an Amazon or place like that. You can sell it yourself. eBay, people are selling them themselves directly to get more money. The bookstores pay you almost nothing. It's crazy how little they give you, and then they turn around and mark it up like $100 they're putting in their pocket. Well, not, they got a lot of expenses, obviously, but I'm just saying they got an incredible markup.
Now, one thing that authorship usually leads to is speaking, and I know you're a sought-after keynote speaker. We see that all the time with entrepreneurs, though, who write their books, and next thing you know, their phone is ringing to come speak for them. Did you become a keynote speaker after becoming an author? Is that the same way it happened in your career?
No, actually, sometimes you kind of stumble into being an entrepreneur in the sense that what I was doing is the way I got started in the Publish Don't Perish was like, some 20 years ago, I was going to conferences and you find these people that have got their doctorate degrees, but they just don't understand the publishing game and how to get published. So I was running workshops, going to conferences, doing conference workshops. And then I wasn't putting much time and effort into my public speaking. I was doing it, but I wasn't really putting much time and effort. Then I was sitting down with a friend at one of the conferences, Raj, and he says, "Bob, you should be a keynote speaker. You're such an excellent speaker." And so then I started really thinking about it. So then I said, well, I want to be in business. As you know, today you got to have a website. You got to get serious. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to have a website. So I basically went out to, get working on the website and started doing some promotion as opposed to, as you know, in business, any entrepreneur will tell you for the most part, you can't just sit back and wait for people to come find you. You got to get out there. You got to get your name out there. You mentioned everybody, as you know, today it's all about branding. As you mentioned, my brand, Publish Don't Perish. So that's so key is you got to do the marketing today.
And today your website is very well developed. Again, publishdonotperish.com. You offer your links to your 12 textbooks. You have a free secret available over there. What's that free secret about?
Well, actually, if you send me an email at publishdon'tperish at gmail.com, I'll actually send you a couple of the secrets. But there's different things. Like one of the key things that a lot of people don't realize, one of the foundations, is when you send an article to a journal or to a conference, the reviewers aren't looking for a reason to accept you. They're looking for a reason to reject you. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking for. So most of the other 175 tips in the book are focusing on how not to get them to reject you.
And is that a common theme across a lot of new authors? Is it something just not following the directions of the publication right? Is it just, too much general information and not enough specific information? Or is that just too broad of a question to answer?
No, that's a great question in the sense that you're right, that a lot of times if you talk to editors of journals, they will tell you that they get articles sent to them that have nothing to do with their journal. It's right. A terrible fit. And I was guilty of the same thing when I first started. Part of, my success has been through failure. As you know, you learn through your failures. So I was making a lot of mistakes and I learned along the way. And I started teaching other people those same tips or secrets to get published. And that's where it basically came from, is my wanting to help. And as you know, as I always say, if you can do two things, find something you love to do and something you're good at, and then you'll never work. And that's basically what it was. I've always really enjoyed teaching and I love publishing. So it's a great combination, and to talk about it and help other people and to write about it is just, to me, it's like not really working. What
is like I don't know if you know, but like what is the acceptance versus rejection rate on like these academic publications? Are they just getting inundated with articles, and if you get one in there, then you've really done well?
Yeah, it really does vary. The top level journals is like under 1% acceptance at some of them. It's crazy competitive. But part of it is, again, one of the things I teach people is make sure you go to the right source, because if you send it to the wrong source, you're going to get a desk rejection and you're not even going to get reviewed. So you got to know the publication and make sure you match it to what they're looking for. That's just one of the starting points. But again, as 175 tips other than that, just helping you get published. And again, if you send me an email at publishdon'tperish@gmail.com, I can send you some of the tips. So
we'll get that up in the show notes as well. Now, after you got that first one under your belt, did it get easier to get published after that first one, or did it still take some time to really get up to 440 plus different publications today?
Actually, unfortunately, I have to tell you that it's getting harder because the bar keeps going up. The bar keeps going up. It gets more competitive. Get into those best journals. There's more and more pressure to publish today than there ever has been, and it's not going away. If you want to teach in college, you can't just teach. You have to research. You've got to publish. Even in the teaching colleges today, publishing is the name of the game. If you don't publish, you're not getting tenure in most places.
Got a couple of minutes left. We mentioned, you are a sought-after keynote speaker, obviously publication being the core of what you teach. What are some of the other topics, though, that you speak on?
Oh, well, basically based on my books in the management area, I can do. Another thing I do is I can tailor to the specific audience what you want. I've been doing that for years with other, different clients. Is just come in and say, I want a leadership. I want you to teach my employees motivation, whatever. So a lot of various topics. Again, you go to the website and list my most popular 12, but I can do a variety.
All right. Good discussion today. Dr. Robert Lussier, he is an author of over 440 different publications, and you can learn more at publishdonotperish.com, and send him an email, publishdonotperish@gmail.com, and take advantage of some of those free tips on getting published. Again, specializing in getting people published in the field of academia. So Dr. Robert Lussier, thank you so much for being with me on the program today.
It was a pleasure to be on, and I do thank you for the opportunity, and have a great day.
Absolutely. I appreciate it so much. New episodes of our program air each weekday morning, 9 a.m. on thatbusinessnetwork.com. And we'd like to hear your story and about your business as well. Simply visit tbsinterview.com for more information. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.